Reform Bill 2017. This bill absolutely reaffirms to me that the Turnbull government is more interested in the name of so-called welfare reform in putting down and demeaning the vulnerable and disadvantaged in our community instead of providing our unemployed and our underemployed with the means to improve their circumstances, indeed more interested in labelling those who suffer from addiction than supplying a real social supports for people to find work which sustains individuals, families and communities, or medical treatment for addiction or mental health issues. This legislation, like so many before since the horror 2014 budget introduced as reform, aims to target Australians all. Let us not forget that this government's predecessor sought to defend the denial of income and supports of people under the age of 30 for 6 months in each year. There are aspects of this bill which are deeply concerning to many who are providing services, including health and social services, to those affected. Labor has referred this bill to a Senate inquiry, which is due to report its findings today. Yet here I stand speaking on the legislation ahead of the conclusion of the Senate inquiry. Once again, this shambolic government is attempting to avoid scrutiny for yet another of their poorly written pieces of legislation, which has the effect of demonising welfare recipients. It is not coincidental that certain news outlets have run what I can only describe as dole-bludger stories recently, highlighting those they say who are rorting the system. Mr Deputy Speaker, Labor takes the issue of social welfare very seriously. With careful study, there are some elements of this bill that Labor could potentially support if they are separated from other measures in this bill. But, as presently drawn, this bill is fundamentally flawed. Overwhelmingly, these are measures that Labor cannot and will not support, as the government has not made out any case in favour of the reform sought to be advanced. In particular, this includes the establishment of a trial of drug testing people looking for work. And yes, we do understand that this is a trial, but it's a trial without purpose and without the necessary supports. From 1 January 2018, the government is seeking to trial the drug testing of 5,000 recipients of Newstart allowance and youth allowance. This is a solution for a problem which lacks any evidentiary support. What is the reason for this policy? Is the government seeking to begin a program of rehabilitation for people found as a result of drug testing to be drug dependent? Is there funding for treatment of addiction? Do they really have the welfare of people found to be taking drugs at the heart of this decision? The answer to these questions, Deputy Speaker, is a resounding no. This government is simply not interested in allocating sufficient funding for programs aimed at assisting people who return a positive drug test. In my electorate of Bass, there are waiting lists to use the limited facilities available for serious issues of addiction, let alone mental health treatment. Medical professionals in the drug and alcohol treatment sector have raised significant concerns about these measures. And of course, all we get from this government is criticism of the lefty professionals, the lefty medical professionals that are opposing this. The main concerns, including those I've raised here, is that the program won't be effective in identifying those with a serious problem, nor will it be able to provide them with the treatment that they require. At this stage, the government has not explained what the costs involved in the program will be, nor do they know what type of test will be conducted. Ultimately, there is little evidence to support how a program like this will be effective. And it's not the case that these programs haven't been tried elsewhere. Our neighbours in New Zealand began a drug testing program in 2013 among their welfare recipients, and despite the program running for a number of years, in 2015 only 22 of 8,000 participants tested returned a positive result for illicit drug use. I say again, 22 out of 8,000. In 2014, in the US state of Missouri, 446 welfare recipients were tested, with only 48 testing positive. Testing for drugs is an expensive exercise that doesn't address the issue of a person's addiction, unless, of course, there is also treatment options available or the testing is part of, for example, a court-sanctioned program. Unlike drug testing in connection with a person's work for occupational health and safety reasons, there is no proper rationale for linking the receipt of Centrelink benefits with drug testing. Community groups that are at the coalface of addiction, dealing directly with people who struggle day to day, have publicly raised concerns about these measures and what the consequences might be. And again, all they receive from this government is criticism. The government is showing its usual disdain for listening to community concern and is recklessly replacing mentally vulnerable people under ever-increasing pressure. Indeed, what concerns me, and what has also interested the medical profession, is how the issue of drug use and disadvantage, and indeed mental illness and disadvantage, is increasingly prevalent, but this proposal provides no pathways or funding for treatment. Despite the government asking the House to vote on this bill today, they have yet to fully disclose the detail. Addiction specialists have voiced their concerns about technical aspects of the trial. There are a number of ways that drugs can be tested for, with some testing being more reliable than others.